to protect the wealth of the upper class, in the throughout American history, like continued to be in control.
Yeah, but now you're talking about class, not race. I'm talking about race.
Right, but how do you disrupt class if you're so segregated by, how do you disrupt race if you're so segregated by class?
Well, but I don't think you can bring class into this.
Matt Walsh destroys this woke lib on Breaking Points, arguing over systemic racism in America. And in the end, Matt Walsh even gets the co-host to agree with him in this clip, because the mantra on the left is that you're always a victim of something or someone else. And Matt Walsh easily dispels that argument. So let's jump in and check it out.
And for a house to have a roof and a second floor that is sturdy, but when you walk into the second floor, you fall through it.
But that
and
doesn't
the roof
reflect
collapses on you.
But that doesn't reflect on your anti-roof sentiments.
Yeah, and also
it doesn't matter.
And
like,
also,
built,
if you okay, but to use your analogy, if you walk into a house and there's a problem in the house, you can't automatically assume that it's the fault of whoever built the house. It could be, depending on the problem. But you also have to look at who's living in the house, who's supposed to be maintaining the house. And if you're living in a house and you're not taking care of it, and in fact you're mistreating the house and it goes to hell, and then you turn around and blame whoever built the house 100 years ago, well, I'm going to say, like, well, this is at some point you got to take responsibility for your own house. And so that's my point with the black community as it stands right now in America. Yes, as we've already established, there was actual systemic racism against the black community for a long time. It's a terrible, evil thing. Everybody agrees on that point. I don't think anyone disagrees. That is over now. There is no longer a system in place that is designed to deprive black Americans of rights. Would you agree with that at least?
No, I do think it's still designed that way, but it's designed in a way where it can't be litigated because it's not in the law.
Okay, but so can you point to me an exact point of the system, an exact place in the system, a policy that is designed to deprive black Americans of rights?
The same people that designed the system to protect the wealth of the upper class, in the throughout American history, like continued to be in control.
Yeah, but now you're talking about class, not race. I'm talking about race.
Right, but how do you disrupt class if you're so segregated by, how do you disrupt race if you're so segregated by class?
Well, but I don't think you can bring class into this, because I would agree that we could talk about class. I'll agree that there are elites who care about themselves and don't care about the lower class. I would say that those people are just as unconcerned with a white person in a trailer park in Appalachia as they are unconcerned with a black person in the inner city. So it is class. We could talk about that. But my question was, because we talk about the system, it's a broad concept here. So let's narrow it down. Let's find a piece of the system that we can point to and say, well, this is designed to hurt black people.
Okay. This question from Matt Walsh is the same thing that always stumps all these people on the left who keep trying to use this power dynamic narrative of everything. It's like, okay, if this is what you say, all right, point to it. Show me where it is. Give me a specific example. And it's always this quasi, weird construct thing. Okay, but it has to touch a bill, a law, a this, a that. Like, show me where it is. And they can never show it. And folks, like, if you're going to tell anybody, hey, this is real, this is what I'm talking about. If you can't show it, if you can't point to it, if you can't define it, if you can't, do anything about it, well, you're not really bringing a good argument to the table, which is normally what they do. That's why when, people like Matt Walsh is asking basic questions, it just kind of falls apart. And it's always the narrative that's somebody else's fault. And it's never the narrative of responsibility, personal responsibility. Like, yeah, I've had problems in my life. I've gotten, gut punched and kicked down. A lot of people got messed through COVID. Life keeps going. At the end of the day, you got to be responsible for your own house. So what you do is also affecting it. And it's never been the narrative of personal responsibility with Matt Walsh is talking about with his culture, is that it's always somebody else's fault, always somebody else to blame, always somebody this, always a system. And it's like, folks, you can argue with the federal level for 50 years and get nothing, but you can change something in your home and in your neighborhood like today. Personal responsibility, that's how people live. but the left never wants to talk about it. But it allows them to get away with the crap that they do. Look, and he wants to talk about gerrymandering. Look, I live in Illinois. Democrats have destroyed this state, and gerrymandering, whoever has access to that, if they want to use it for a nefarious reason, they just can't. Okay, it may not be the intended tool, but people are going to do it. Why? Because you're just going to get corrupt people. If you want to call them out for it, that's fine. But you can't just see somebody do it and just rush into find, oh, that's what he's doing. I mean, let me know in the comments what you think. But this narrative has been overplayed. And again, if they're going to say it, you got to show it. But leave a like. Let's get back.
So if you go to Georgia, for instance, after they implemented school desegregation, what they started doing is saying, oh, okay, well, we can't legally keep black people out of our neighborhoods or out of our schools, but what we can do is we can secede from our neighborhoods. I mean, you've been to the Atlanta suburbs?
A little bit.
Like every four,
Unfortunately.
like every four,
Try to stay away.
Yeah.
like every 4 blocks for a long time, you had like new school districts, and they would be drawn. They would be just basically gerrymandered. Like they would know where the white people were, and they would gerrymander the school district so that only white people would be a part of this.
Yeah, but you're going back to desegregation.
No. This is what they're doing now. Like this is up to today. Like, so what they're doing is they're saying, okay, these are the new laws in place. However, we like our system of segregation and racism that we have here. So how do we hire the best lawyers
Is that about class?
to show that, but it's also about race?
Well, but I'm saying, do you think primarily in the minds of the designers of the system, are they actually discriminating intentionally on a class basis,
or is
it
pretty race driven?
I don't think that there's any evidence that it's race driven. I think in like an example you give, it's class, it's people wanting to avoid crime-ridden, impoverished areas. Not, maybe someone doesn't want to send their kids to school in a place that's high crime, where there's going to be a lot of delinquency and everything in the school system. I don't think it's because the kids are black, it's just because of that. And also, the other thing is when we talk about...
But at what point then does...
Hold on a second. When we talk about school districts or the way communities are set up, here's another point that rarely comes up. It's pretty simple. You can move, right? So you can always move. I mean, if you live in a community where you're claiming it's been set up systemically to disadvantage it, I don't buy that. But if I did, I would say, well, you should probably move from that community. I mean, you can go somewhere else. It's not, there's no law saying you can't. And if there was a law saying...
Some HOA situations will try to block.
Yeah, but they're not
it.
going to say you can't move here if you're black.
It's also why a lot of black community groups support voucher systems to allow, work with conservatives on voucher systems to allow kids to get to different schools.
Now that's what I'm talking about, folks. I mean, even his co-host knows that, like she knows that this argument is BS. I think she's trying to be nice about it, but even she is hip to the fact that voucher systems is a better way to get your kids to schooling. And who is the one pushing that? It's not the left. The left wants every kid stuck and locked in public schools. Only conservatives and people on the right and other independents are trying to give other options, charter schools. You can go to, Catholic school. You can go to, school vouchers to have options and make schools compete for your kid, for your money. It's a proven better way, and the left absolutely is defiant of it. They don't want your kid to go anywhere else. They want them to be locked up right here. And look, like I said, I live in Illinois. I've seen the effects of blue ran areas, and at this point, it's just toxic. They can't run states, they can't run cities, and if people are just trying to X themselves away from it, basically, it's just not trying to touch the very cancer that you're spreading. At least that's how I feel. But like I said, if you don't live in a blue area, maybe you don't feel the same way. But folks, let me know how you feel about that and what you feel about what Matt Walsh had to say to this woke lib on Breaking Points. I used to like them a little bit better, but yeah, this guy annoys me a lot, and they've gone a little bit weird. But either way, thanks for watching. Take care, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.